Those are our TAC people, Admiral. We're just making sure we got them accounted for.
Okay.
Tats on the ball, sir.
All right. And Ron, Ernie, I do have something I'll say right before you kick off. So just pass to me before you start.
Hi, Admiral, will do. Hey, Anthony, did you copy?
Copy, Ryan.
Okay.
The 2019
symposium was when we had a guest speaker from the then Surgeon General, Jerome Adams. He came and spoke at one of our sessions. And after the session, he was very personable, and myself and another Navy nurse snagged a photo with him. And then I posted it on my Twitter, and I got some follows and likes. So that was very cool.
The amount of diversity that we have in our group, different backgrounds, different cultures, and it's nice that we bring all of that together to accomplish the mission of providing mentorship.
Actually, the first one that I did, and that was actually as a midshipman when I was still a midshipman at the Morehouse Navy ROTC unit. There was a bunch of us that drove up from Atlanta, Georgia to Quantico, but I will never forget the impact that it had on us before we even getting commissioned. I'm seeing all of the level of excellence that was there to graciously give back and make sure that they were readily available to us though. So there's one that I'll never forget though.
When I met Rear Admiral Jesse Wilson for the first time, the engagement with a flag officer that not only made himself available and accessible, but showed genuine interest in my career progression. I've always counted that as a very valuable engagement. I've tried to emulate that in my career as well, paying it forward for the junior officers that are coming behind me.
Everyone,
As
St.
an
John
active
Harris.
NNOA member, I'm sure you realize the opportunities and benefits the organization provides while you're in pursuit of your outstanding career. Our reserve shipmates also benefit as they read between their military and civilian career success. From providing transition assistance, lessons learned webinars, informational briefs, and just-in-time counseling to our active duty and veteran leaders, NNOA is still pressing forward.
I spent 31 years in the Navy, and I can tell you, NNOA had a dramatic effect on my career. The mentors I met were just undescribable and absolutely essential to my success. I want to welcome you all here, and I want to also invite you to visit the Transition Assistance Team's website there on the NNOA website.
Hello, NNOA family. My name is Ron Evans. As we get underway with celebrating the 49th annual NNOA Symposium, I would like to, along with my fellow veterans, thank NNOA for many, many years of providing education, fellowship, and pure fun. Keep it going.
Hey, get away from my car.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know that was your car. I went just like it.
Everybody, Sinclair Harris here again. I love that video, and I really appreciate what our veterans are doing, our transition assistance team are doing. A real quick note on the subject of elections. So we really have not had a great number of people who have stepped forward for the positions that are open. So I just want to do two things. One is to reiterate the positions that are open. For in the 2-year category, there's Executive Vice President, Eastern Regional Vice President, the Treasurer, and Veterans Representative. Those are the 2-year positions. The off-cycle 1-year position is for our Central Regional Vice President. So again, Executive Vice President, Eastern Regional Vice President, Treasurer, Veterans Representative, and Central Regional Vice President. I've extended, and you may have seen the note that came from our legal advisor saying that nominations ceased as of 0900 today. I've extended that till tomorrow. And I know I've got one person who has signed up already to be part of it. So we're extending the nominations, and I use the portal. I can tell you it works. It works easy. And I hope that you will step forward because NNOA needs you. So thank you much. Let me know if you have any questions. Over to you, Ron and Ernie.
Thank you so much, Admiral. We really appreciate those words. And good afternoon, everybody. My name is Anthony Cosby, and today we're going to be introducing our Transition Assistance Team. So on behalf of our NNOA National President, Sinclair Harris, and our National Veterans Committee lead, Ernie Taylor, we welcome you to the up and running NNOA Veteran Transition Assistance website. Again, my name is Anthony Cosby, and we are very excited about introducing or reintroducing this website to the NNOA audience, in that it captures a number of transition-related tools, services, transition thoughts, links to other transition services, job listings, and most importantly, lessons learned from Naval service members and Marine Corps service members who have lots to share, and places them under one umbrella. Our 21-member transition assistance team created this website because we all know that military service is difficult and very demanding at times. And we also know that returning to civilian life poses significant challenges for those who have served, regardless of the rank or years spent in uniform. Behind all good websites are great people. So let's meet the multi-talented veterans behind this website, volunteers who have been there and done that over the years, and who now embrace the motto, "You serve faithfully, now let us serve you." NNOA family, I present your Veterans Transition Assistance Team, representing corporate, nonprofit, academia, entrepreneurship, and government service. First up in the queue, Ron Evans. Ron, over to you.
Anthony, thank you. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. Before I get into transition assistance, I have to say this. What a pleasure it is to be here present with the United States Marine Corps. I had the honor of serving the 31st MEU on Essex from 01 to 03. I spent 3 years with the 31st MEU. For those of you who remember Mike Lowe, he was the 31st MEU commander when I was on board. Then Roy Arnold took over from him. But I learned a lot from the United States Marine Corps, and the biggest thing that I learned is that teamwork. It takes two sides, and we call ourselves the Blue-Green Team. I shall never, ever forget it. I'm retired here in San Antonio, Texas. Every time I go into a store called HEB, that's what we have here in San Antonio, wonderful grocery store. I see someone with the Marine Corps cap on, I'll run after them, stop them just to shake their hand. So it is indeed a pleasure to be here with the United States Marine Corps. Thank you very much. My name is Ron Evans. I would also like to congratulate NNOA. We've been doing that for the last several days, and rightly so. NNOA has done a lot for so many of us, and will continue to do a lot for us going forward. We look forward to continuing to learn this year with this 49th symposium, and we look forward to the 50th as well. Now, in that 50th year celebration, it'll be a reunion of sorts, and we'll see folks that we haven't seen in a long time, and I'm very much looking forward to that. So I'll be there in Annapolis, hopefully, Lord willing. The other thing I'd like to do is recognize those who are still in uniform. We thank you for your service here in San Antonio. We say that a lot to people in uniform and out of uniform, our veterans. But I want to thank those in uniform for their service. I ask that that you keep going as high as you can go, as far as you can go, and know that NNOA is behind you all the way. This organization started out as a retention-based organization. It has blossomed into an accessions-assisted organization, as well as a transition organization. I guess you could call that a cradle-to-grave organization. That's what we find ourselves in within NNOA today. I'm very, very proud of that and to be a part. I'm a retired Navy veteran, spent 27 years in a variety of challenging and rewarding assignments. But when it came time to transition, I was on the Joint Staff in the J3. And all my bosses on the Joint Staff said, Ron, you know, I understand you're getting out. just know this, when you get your resume out there on the street, your phone's going to be ringing off the hook. And your biggest challenge will be deciding who to go with. I believe my bosses for 27 years, never had a reason to doubt what they told me. And that was no exception. So I was happy. I was looking forward to the transition. And there was this thing called the TAP course that was in front of me. I didn't want to go to the TAP course, didn't think I had to, but it was part of the checkout list. So I went to the TAP course, and 1 month before I got out, learned some things about the transition. I learned some things about VA benefits, but I wanted to get all that stuff behind me and get home so I can listen to my phone ring off the hook. Month 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 went by. I started crying at the 6-month mark, and a good friend, my best friend, in fact, pulled me aside and said, you know, I can't stand to see you grow up and cry. I want to introduce you to somebody. He did. That person was now the late, great Ken Miller, who brought me into his office, and he asked me what I wanted to do. I told him, I don't know. I like people, love airplanes and love ships. And so maybe HR. And he put his finger up and he said, hey, you know, you don't have a clue, do you? I said, I really don't. And he said, okay, I come across you guys all the time. He said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to share your name with 5 companies. Unbeknownst to me, he was talking about the primes, the defense contractor primes. He said, I'm going to start with Raytheon because I'm playing golf with one of the vice presidents today, this coming Friday. And that's how I got on with Raytheon. Spent 12 wonderful years with Raytheon, but I tell you, I learned a lot. So this is what I want to share with you briefly today. Number 1, if you're facing transition, understand that you have to be educated about the transition. There are 2 parts. There's the formal part. That's easier than the informal part. The informal part includes the schoolhouses that you go to. There are schoolhouses out there, the TAP GPS. There's MOA's wonderful, wonderful course. I can't say enough about the MOA, Executive Transition course. And then there are other courses out there, schoolhouse related types of courses that you can go to, and you'll learn the basics of transition. But the other education source that I want to talk about briefly is the informal education that you'll only get when you talk to people who've been there, done that. That's harder to get because a lot of times we don't either have time to talk and share our stories, or for whatever reason, we don't want to share our stories. Well, that's where your transition assistance team comes in. It's filled with superstars who've been there, done that. Every last one of us have lessons learned that we'd like to share with you to make it easy for you to take advantage and learn from the lessons, where you can echo the good stuff that we talk about and stay away from the bad. Anyway, I think it's very important to be educated. Number 2, networking is the key to success. Well, if you ask me on the Joint Staff what networking was, I'd say, okay, come with me. I'd take you over to where the United States Marine Corps is located on the Joint Staff. I'd take you over there where the Air Force is located, and the Army and the United States Coast Guard and our Navy teammates. I say, this is my network. Well, guess what? That network can't really help you much with your transition. And so when we talk about network and networking within the transition realm, we're talking about people who can help you secure a job on the outside. Networking is a key, especially for careers, to success, but it's key to everybody as well. And then number 3, you have to have an idea of how much you're worth, because if you don't, you'll be taken advantage of. I was asked when I interviewed with Raytheon, you know, what would it take to bring you on board? My answer was, well, my wife and I enjoy a quality of life that we don't want to upset. The vice president looked at me as though I was crazy. He didn't say it, but I saw it in his eyes. He said, okay, all right, fine. We won't upset your quality of life. and I got hired. I won't tell you what my salary was, but I'm still trying to make up from that salary. It's not going to happen. You have to have an idea of how much you're worth. If you don't, you'll be taken advantage of. I can almost guarantee that. That's why we always encourage, in the corporate world anyway, that when you receive an offer for employment, that you counter that offer. Now, there's a way to do that. I don't like using money when I counter, but you're always expected to counter. And when you don't counter, by the way, and you accept that first offer, that shows your ignorance. Anyway, I made all of those mistakes and vowed to share my story with everybody who was willing to listen, which is why I'm on the transition assistance team. This is a wonderful team. I'm so thankful that we have the superstars that we have, and you'll see here in a few minutes and meet some of those. But anytime you want to reach out to us, feel free. We're on the NNOA website. A lot of us in our bios have our cell, or not our cell numbers, but our email addresses. Feel free to use those. For those who have my number, call me or send me a note and then call me. I'll be happy to talk to any and everybody about transition assistance. This is all for NNOA, cradle to grave. I'm very proud of that. Thank you for your time. That's all I have. Anthony, back to you.
Thanks so much for that, Ron. We really appreciate those words of wisdom. So next up, we have Mr. Hewlin Davis. Hewlin, over to you, sir. And Hewlin, if you can come off mute, please.
All right, there we go. Okay. All right, thank you, Anthony. My name is Hewlin Davis. I'm a native of Prairie View, Texas. My dad was a Navy and Army veteran. Also may add, given my ardence, my brother is a Marine. He's a Naval Academy class of '85. Now, I finished from Prairie View A&M University with a degree in electrical engineering and was commissioned through the NROTC in 1980 to the Civil Engineer Corps. I transitioned from the Navy as the rank of commander, having served 22 years, about 19 years ago. You know, I volunteered to be a member of this transition assistance team because of my desire to help other veterans, especially with their VA claims. Now, I can still remember the experiences of those yesterday. As I was pursuing a job in the defense industry, my biggest lessons learned from that transition were to use my support network and to focus on a specific area of expertise. First, I'm going to expound on the support network. I know I'm dating myself, but I created my own version of a Rolodex when I was on active duty with business card collections, and I found that to be invaluable. My support network included my family, friends, peers, my old bosses, and my out-of-Navy network. My out-of-Navy network included my alumni, classmates, church friends, and other community friends. With regard to the second lesson learned of focusing on a specific area, you know, I felt blessed by my Navy expertise. You see, the Navy had given me expertise in program project management, construction management, contract administration, and public works management. So I took an inventory of the jobs that gave me the most satisfaction. I decided to focus on program management, where I could use my construction expertise also. So after leaving active duty, I spent 4 years working for the Louis Berger Group, where I supported the State Department's Overseas Building Operations Organization on embassy renovations and construction. Then I spent 5 years in program management, overseeing construction and renovation for DoD IC clients in the Washington, D.C. area. Okay. And then finally, I spent 10 years with the Department of Veterans Affairs in the Office of Construction and Facilities Management as a program manager. I established a headquarters project review board of our major construction healthcare facility projects, which also included our cemeteries and our major leases. One thing I did notice while I was there, which is why I became a member of the board, was the number of veterans who worked at VA who had not attended the VA seminar, who had not put in a claim. So that developed a passion for helping people in that regard. I retired from the federal government in December of 2019, and I want to congratulate those of you who can see your transition on the horizon. And I look forward to sharing my transition experiences with you with the intent that it will contribute to your success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ewan. We really appreciate that. So next up, we have Dr. Pat Williams. Pat, over to you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Anthony. Good afternoon again, everyone. I'm Pat Williams, and I transitioned from the Navy just a couple of years ago. I remember the experience as though it was yesterday, though. It was very surreal. And before joining the nonprofit association, I spent 35 years on active duty in the Navy, first as an enlisted sailor. I did 5 years. I was a yeoman before going off to officer candidate school, where afterwards I served as a human resources professional in military manpower and requirements, personnel management, financial management and audit, did some diversity and inclusion work, both stateside and overseas in Diego Garcia specifically. And throughout my naval career, I was fortunate enough to serve in multiple high visibility leadership positions. And along the way, I did manage to earn and maintain a professional certification as a professional in human resources, along with a certificate of mastery in diversity and inclusion to complement my terminal degree. So I thought, great, I'm going to be all set for my transition. And as I prepared to make that transition from military service and began the job search, wow, was I not prepared. My biggest lessons learned, I think, were one, to do my research, and then to keep all of my options open. And reflecting back, working at a veteran-focused nonprofit was nowhere on my list. But through networking, here I am at the Military Officers Association of America. And now, as I began my research and to make the networking rounds, a 4-star said to me at a networking event, Pat, you should consider serving on boards, working at nonprofits. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know about you, Admiral, but I need to get paid. But that notion remained with me. And so here I am at MOA, fast forward. It's a nonprofit, as many of you know, nonpartisan legislative advocacy association focused on protecting the rights, compensation, pay, and benefits of all uniformed services, all of our service members, retirees, their families, survivors, the whole gamut. And I serve as one of MOA's program directors for engagement and career transition services, working closely with installation transition assistance programs across the nation, providing key information about transitioning, about the current world of work. I also assist our members of MOA with their career counseling, with LinkedIn profile reviews, with resume critiques. And to any of those of you who can see your transitions on the horizon, because you will hear this throughout, that day will come regardless of where you are in your career. Just remember one key takeaway, as Ron, our fearless leader, mentioned, networking is the key. The importance of networking cannot be understated or overstated. In fact, 80 to 85% of job seekers find their next position through networking. And in line with the work here that I do at MOA on a daily basis, we talk repeatedly, whether it's at a webinar or in person, about the importance of developing and honing your network, both in person and on social media, specifically LinkedIn. And so I am very happy and pleased to serve as one of NNOA's transition assistance team members, continuing our efforts to support the NNOA membership in the sharing of transition experiences and best practices. Thank you all and enjoy the rest of the conference. Over to you, Anthony.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Williams. Appreciate that. So next up, we have Ms. Denise Williams. Denise, over to you, ma'am.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. And okay, I'm going to share my part of the story. I am a retired Marine Corps veteran, 30 years. I'm a proud member of NNOA and have been for a long, long, long time. And I'm equally proud to say that I am a member of this transition assistance team. I joined this team because I felt that I really wanted to pay back and just help someone else. Unlike some of the members here and some of the members at the symposium, when I retired in 2005, I had absolutely no plan to get a job anywhere. Didn't want to work, didn't need to work, My intent was to come home and take care of my aging parents and my husband, who was a firefighter. And unlike some of you, when I was on active duty very early on, I realized there were not a whole lot of people that looked like me, especially in the Marine Corps. As a matter of fact, I can vividly recall at one point, there were 7, count them, 703 female Marine officers. We all looked alike. We decided we should take a trip somewhere. And the brilliant person decided, yeah, but if that plane goes down, Marine Corps is hosed. And she was right. So we didn't do it. But we kind of looked around and realized we can do this. There wasn't a lot of mentorship because there was nobody who looked like us. They didn't know what to do with us. So fast forward, when I did retire, I realized that my passion has been diversity and inclusiveness. It has been representation for minorities, and most importantly, securing benefits for veterans. You're going to realize that most legislators on the federal and on the state levels can't spell military. Legislators didn't serve. They don't know what we need. They don't know what we want. And I think it's our responsibility to tell them. So that's what I do. I echo the sentiments and thank all of you who are still on active duty and who don't have all this gray hair, and you're still doing it and you're still getting it done. Please let us assist you and share our lessons learned, share where those pitfalls are, and hopefully we can help you. And there are going to be various paths that everybody takes, not all the same ones, but they do have common denominators, and that's to make you successful. I think we heard early on some of the symposium speakers that, yeah, the Corps and the Navy, the military, Department of Defense, this is a business and it's about everybody being successful. So at some point, we have to reach out and ensure that. And at some point, we have to take responsibility to make sure we're doing what we need to do. So I'm gonna get back on my script now. I just wanted to share those with you. Please feel free to talk to us, ask any questions. There's nothing that we haven't heard. There's nothing that's a bad question. If we don't know the answer, we have talent across this board here and across the Corps that we're gonna find the answer for you. And hopefully it will help someone else. So I'm very excited to be here. Congratulations so much on your attendance and on your transition. We're not saying get out tomorrow. We're not saying get out next week. I'm not telling you to stay and do 30 years like I did. Get out and enjoy your life. But be ready when you do, and let us help you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for that, Denise. And thank you for being such a trailblazer. So next up, we have Mr. Michael Stewart. Michael, over to you.
Thank you. It's truly an honor and a blessing to be here as a member of this panel and being able to support the military and the Marine Corps here today. Greetings, my name is Michael Stewart. I transitioned from the Navy 14 years ago after serving over 20 years, both enlisted and as an officer in the Navy. I started out as a machinist mate, transitioned through the Broadened Opportunity for Officers Selection and Training Program, the BOOST program, and then ended up getting my degree in physics back in 1990. I put on the wings as a naval flight officer and flew P3s and served on a carrier tour as an assistant navigator. I've served on joint staffs. I have found my whole career to be both challenging and rewarding. As I was pursuing my transition to the defense industry as a contractor, I would say that my biggest lesson learned, my biggest takeaway as you prepare for that transition is you can never start early enough to prepare. You should have that vision of what you look like outside of your uniform and start marching towards that with certain goals in mind. Like many on our panel and many people out in the real world and outside of service, I didn't know exactly what it is I needed to have in my tool belt. I just knew I could do anything. That's one thing I've learned after being in the service. I could do anything. I remember going to the career fairs and walking in my new suit, looking proud, staying in shape, being sharp, and asking them what do they need, because I can do it. I've managed people. I've managed budgets. I've taken the best people the government, the planet had to offer, our nation had to offer, and took them into combat scenarios and brought them all back. What more could you need from a person to run your company, be a part of your team? The answer back to me was, what kind of certifications do you have? I know you've got a degree, but are you fluent in this and that? And my answer is, if I didn't have it, I can get it. Well, you should make sure you have that if you know exactly what it is you want to do. So I echo that. You need to have an idea of how you're going to go, because I found out just my chest full of medals and ribbons was not enough. And networking can never start early enough either. Mr. Evans, Ron Evans was right. Thankfully, he was in my court to help me figure out my network. It took a while to get settled in. I had, I believe, a 6-month gap between retirement and actually starting my first job. And I was fortunate to stay in the same career field for 14 years prior to transitioning to my second post-service career field. I went from a contractor in the defense industry, helping Space ComSec devices with NSA certification, to now being an accounts manager at a small company called Microsoft. And I can say we can network our best to help us figure out what it is we need to do to make sure we are well represented in the next phase. So if it's going to be soon or later, we are here to help. We can give through our experience in our networks, get you prepared for that next phase, whenever that is. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Brother Michael. We really appreciate you. So next up, we have Mr. Tom Peoples. Tom, over to you.
All right. Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everybody. It's like everybody has said thus far, it is truly an honor to be a part of this organization and to be in front of you and really to speak to you today. Yesterday, I spoke a lot about my corporate experience, so I'm not really going to spend a whole lot of time talking about that today, but I will share with you a brief story about who I am and really what I can do for you whenever that time is that you make the decision that the transition is good for you. So my Navy career started through the Boost program back in 1989. I too am a booster, brought an opportunity for officer selection and training, went through Boost as a track 2, and then went to Rochester Institute of Technology, pursued a degree in mechanical engineering. When I graduated, I got commissioned an ensign and went off to be a SWO. Served on board the USS Fletcher as the gunnery officer, and then served on board the USS Hewitt, DD 966 out of Yokosuka, in varying engineering roles. Really, it was coming off my second DIVO ride. My wife and I made the decision it was time for us to transition, and so we did. When I transitioned, there are some things that I remember very distinctly about the transition for me, and really part of that is distinctly why I'm very happy and proud to be a part of this team. When I think about back then, and that transition was in 1998. It was pre-internet. It was pre-everything that, a lot of the tools and resources that people have at their, that they have available right now. But, I remember going through the TAP program, and I remember that very distinctly. I remember the things that they were telling me, and I remember that, and there's no other way to say it. There was nobody that looked like me that was telling me anything that seemed of a lot of value. So when I was getting out, I went through and discovered a lot of things kind of on my own. I did fortunately have, I started early and I went through one of the headhunting organizations back then and was going on interviews and trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do with my life when I got out. one of the things I think it's come up, and I think Commander Stewart mentioned it, you got to start thinking about what you want to be when you grow up. Because what you're doing now and what you do going into that first role, second or third role, really should be building on what that end game is. And I don't mean that in a sense that we're not adults, but that's an expression that really it's, what is the end game? So when I transitioned out of active duty, I came to work for the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company 22 years ago. So I've been with Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company for 22 years in varying roles of increasing responsibility and over the last 2 decades. The experience that I bring to this team is I've interviewed thousands of people. I've gone through hundreds of resumes. I'm an engineer still. I'm actually a senior manager of lean operations. I am not an HR professional, but I am actively involved in in a lot of our different HR functions. So whether it's going to career fairs for diverse students, going to career fairs for attracting military, being part of the interview panels, all of those kinds of things. I've been doing that for 2 decades. So what I bring to the table, what I bring to the party for the transition assistance team is somebody coming out of the corporate environment that can help you get prepared for some of the things, some of the challenges that you are going to see that you probably have not been, you haven't seen before from a corporate perspective. You are capable. The group of folks, diverse, minority, Marine Corps, and naval officers are the most capable top talent in the world. Companies, when the time is right, will want you, but you have to be able to present yourself in a manner such that they will understand they want you, but you have to be able to present yourself in a manner that they can accept you. And that's part of what we in the transition assistance team are geared up to do. So really just wanted to say hello and thank everybody for everything that they're doing and let you know that when your time is ready, you've got a very, very capable group of people that are standing by to serve you in a capacity that you may not even know you need yet, but we are here and we'll continue to be here for you. So that's all I got.
Thank you so much, Tom. Really appreciate that. So now for the next few moments, you guys are going to have me. I'm going to talk to you all about entrepreneurship. So first and foremost, I'm from Alabama, and sometimes when I get excited, I sweat a little bit. So I got my rag. I probably should have been a Baptist preacher, but missed that calling. But nonetheless, I'm a grandson of a bootlegger and a deacon, all in one. And you just have to love that. Born in 1901, secured 17 acres, and a good friend of his secured over 10,000 acres. And I'll tell you about that story here in a little bit. But it was an all-Black community back in 1901 in North Alabama, about 20 miles outside of Huntsville, where I was raised. So country boy, yep, that's me. I drink sweet tea, sometimes unsweet now. But, for me, I came up through the Navy as enlisted. I was a personnelman. And during my enlisted time, I was able to learn a lot because we got to read instructions and we got to understand about pay. We knew what everybody made. We knew what the base commander made because we looked at their LES, leave earning statement, back in the day. So we understood a lot of things that a lot of folks didn't understand, but for me, it was black and white. I really understood how to read and educate yourself. And I vaguely remember, or clearly remember, doing the commissioning paperwork for a Mr. Ponce Clay, if you guys know that name. I did the commissioning paperwork for Nathan King, Captain Nathan King, who's still serving right now. And before I retired, I was at the Navy Officer Recruiting School, and my first Black officer that was my direct report was Captain Rob Dews, and I only had him for 5 months. 5 months was all, but now we still stay in touch. So NNOA is very valuable. Definitely a long line of folks that have came through. Was able to meet Dr. Wright, who I was on his podcast when he was with iHeartRadio. So again, for those that are out there, this is an organization that has so much talent. And as we talk to you all about transition assistance, please take that to heart and don't hesitate to reach out to us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you find us, please reach out to us. So as Tom gave his sermon yesterday, I'm going to give mine today. So I'm going to title mine, Keep Pushing Forward, right? I think we could have passed around the collection plate and probably paid for next year's NNOA conference. But so I'm going to talk about keep pushing forward. So in the world of entrepreneurship, the one thing I will tell you, I think we all have some type of entrepreneurial spirit, right? Because even when we were in the military, one of the things I thought about is when we had to market for a combined federal campaign, right? Because we didn't want to not get to the top, right? We wanted to make sure that when you drove into the base and you saw that number, that goal that we were trying to reach, you wanted to make sure that it wasn't shy of reaching that goal. And somehow, some way, back in the day in the 90s when I came through, whether it was sending emails or during quarters, we were talking about how we're going to reach that goal for CFC. You don't have to give now, but we definitely want to reach that goal for CFC. And that's marketing, right? That was marketing 101. And most of the time, I think most of the commands I was at, we reached that goal, right? So when you're thinking about entrepreneurship, one of the things I will always say, they are in phases. So you have your ideation phase, you have your startup phase, you have your growth phase, and then you have this phase that I think is probably one of the most important, your resources phase, right? So let's talk about the ideation phase. So I've started 3 companies, right? And the first company I started is after I transitioned out of the military, and my transition was a little rocky, to say the least. I had left San Antonio to go to the recruiting school. And when I came back, it seemed like nobody remembered my name in San Antonio. So I had to go out there and put myself back out on the market again. And I will tell you, I'm a confident introvert. I went into recruiting because I was an introvert and I wanted to do something great in recruiting. And lo and behold, I ended up becoming the #1 recruiter in the nation. But one of the things I will say is that when you have your ideation phase and you start thinking about what you want to do, really start researching that piece of it. And for me, my first company was Cosby Career Services, right? Again, when I got out, I got my first job at the University of Texas at San Antonio, and I was a career coach. Again, I was part of the recruiting command. So I was very good at recruiting, very good with human resources because of my background as a human resource officer. And when I got to the university, I wanted to see if I had what it took to provide career coaching to regular civilians, whether it was veterans or graduating students or alumni. So I was able to get my career coaching certification, and I started providing that career service for folks, right? And it really dawned on me because when I was doing it, my predecessor, she saw about 10 people a month, right? And I was averaging about 70. And I was wondering, how did I end up averaging so many? Because I really didn't take breaks, right? I maybe took like a 30-minute lunch, but I really wanted to help people because when folks came in to talk to you, they were probably down on their last that they had. It was 2012, 13, so we were just recovering from the Great Recession. So I saw that there was a need for folks to really have that career coaching. So when I started my company, I left the university, started my company. It was going so very well. Had no clue how to run a business. Again, my introvert was kicking in. I really didn't reach out to folks to follow my resources to see how to run a company. And the one thing that happened during that time frame when I started that company was I said, you know what? So many veterans and military spouses was coming to me. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do you guys for free. I'm gonna do it for free. And probably about 50 folks walked away with 6-figure salaries from the time that I helped them with their resumes and career coaching and really getting them on the right way. And I was a show of one, right? And I saw at that point in time that it wasn't sustainable. And I kind of stepped away from it because it just was too inundating. I took care of all the folks I was going to take care of. And then at that time, that's when I had a unique opportunity because I really wanted to grow something where we could help so many folks find their dream job, whatever that dream job was. And so when that didn't work out, I had a unique opportunity because of starting that company, of getting recruited by the Institute for Veterans and Military Families at Syracuse University. And during that time, Howard and Sherry Schultz, so Howard, the owner of Starbucks at the time, gifted $30 million to the Institute, and they wanted to create opportunities, just as Michael said, to provide certifications, industry recognized certifications to veterans, Guard and Reserve, transitioning service members, and military spouses at no cost all over the country for your project management professional, PHR, cyber, partnered with SANS. So all of the big name certifications at no cost. But we were just getting it off the ground, right? And when we were just getting it off the ground, we needed someone that had an entrepreneurial spirit, right? And then that's when I came in. I've been with the Institute for about 6 years now with the entrepreneurial spirit. So when we started at 3 locations, San Antonio, Camp Pendleton, and Joint Base Lawrence McChord. Now we're in 19 locations across the country, being able to serve over 50,000 people going through these programs and getting certifications. And I say that piece because as you all are serving right now, and for some that are out, but as you're serving right now, you're gaining a lot of experience on how to become an entrepreneur or how you would run your company as an entrepreneur. You're gaining a lot of skill sets through the leadership aspect. You're gaining a lot of skill sets by knowing who's good at what. Because sometimes as a startup, you're doing everything. You're doing the marketing, you're doing the ad campaigns, you're doing everything. So really remember that piece of it. So when you come to the startup phase of it, you really want to make sure that that research is there. You really want to make sure that you understand what you want to do with the particular company that you want to start. So when I had a unique opportunity to start my next company, it was an apparel company. And I'm going back to my roots at Alabama. I wanted to create T-shirts from the cotton that was in my grandfather's farm, that was in my grandfather's friend's farm. And I really wanted to focus on Tuskegee Airmen. I'm an Auburn grad, and Tuskegee was right by Auburn. I wanted to focus on Tuskegee Airmen and generating apparel for Tuskegee Airmen. And when I did that, everything was going well. Wow, we launched in 2019, really did my research, really understood how I wanted the website to look and feel, really did my focus groups and creating the apparel. And when we launched, had a big launch party, and we were getting ready to start pushing our Facebook ads and Instagram ads. And at that time, what happened? COVID happened. And for me, my company was a drop shipping company. And when you think about a drop shipping company, you don't have inventory. So when someone orders, it's like an order on demand, if you will. So you don't have to carry that inventory. But some folks have become multimillionaires with drop shipping. But again, it was the middle of COVID and folks were not at fulfillment centers. So one of the other things that we learn in the military is how to pivot. I think a lot of folks understand that word when they're talking about pivoting. And so when I learned how to pivot on that piece, one day I was at the Class 6 store on Fort Sam Houston. And when I got there, I don't know if we have any other bourbon drinkers on the call, but I wanted to get a nice bourbon. And when I went there, I saw this guy in, a black button-down shirt, boots, jeans. Didn't look like he was supposed to be there. He looked like he was somebody important, right? And so I went up to him and I said, all right, you don't supposed to be here because you have two young ladies serving nice spirits to the old veterans that are coming through here. Who are you? He said, oh, my name is Mike Cameron, and I am the CEO for Devil's River. He said, do you know Devil's River? I said, I do. I said, I see your sign every day in San Antonio. It says, if your drive was only this smooth, right? And so I started researching Devil's River to see, where you guys were. And I told him everything that he knew about Devil's River. He said, wow, you know a lot about it. I do. I said, well, he said, what do you do? And I told him about what I did with IBMF. And I told him about my business. He said, show me your website. So I showed him my website. And he said, I love it. He said, but let me ask you this. Have you ever thought about doing one thing? And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, and this is when it started getting a little crazy. He said, so one day we were over Coach Pop's house, me and George Strait, right? And he said, you know George Strait, right? I said, well, I know of him. Yeah, I know that he's a country singer. He said, well, we were over Coach Pop's house. And when we were over Coach Pop's house, Tito comes over. He said, you know Tito, right? I'm like, this is like just too crazy now. So you talking about Tito, Vodka Tito? He said, yeah. He, with the UT, he's from San Antonio. I said, yeah, I've had his stuff, yeah. So anyway, Tito comes over and we asked Tito straight up. We said, Tito, Ciroc has like flavored vodka, Sky has flavored vodka. Why don't you make flavored vodka with Tito's vodka? And he said that Tito looked us straight in the eye and said, I just got offered $5 billion from my company doing one thing, and I do it very, very well, right? And now if you look at Tito's vodka, is worth $9 million. So in the world of entrepreneurship, the unique thing about it is that you can find that idea and you can research and you can figure out how you want to get it started. And there are so many resources out there for it, right? At the Institute for Veterans and Military Families, and I'll pop the website in there for y'all so y'all can have it. Because even for some of y'all that have spouses that might want a job that, or become an entrepreneur or something that can be a little bit mobile, there are a lot of opportunities out there for them to have mobile jobs that are out there. Because as we're getting ready to just continue to go through the Delta, right? A lot of folks are going to be looking for those virtual opportunities where they can continue to grow and continue to run their businesses. So when I think about the startup phase, we always think about that aspect of funding, right? Because funding is one of those things that sometimes is just elusive and very hard to get, and you're trying to figure out how to get it. I will say, there are two dimensions, and this is the Shark Tank mode that I talk about when I talk about this. If you think about Shark Tank, you have individuals that go there to pitch, right? And then you have the sharks that have the resources to help that dream come to fruition. Two dimensions, because they have the resources and you're in your dimension trying to get those resources, right? If you really think about it, Shark Tank gives you that opportunity to talk about your business plan, talk about how you're going to create revenue from your business plan and get a response from them if they want to invest in what you have to offer. So again, when you look at those two worlds and those two dimensions, it's for real. And when you're starting a business, you're going to have unique opportunities where you're going to self-fund your business. That's something that you can do. Again, there are a lot of nonprofits out there that gives you an opportunity through, especially the SBA, which is not a nonprofit, but the SBA has so much resources for you to use, whether you want to get a business loan or even if you want to get a mentor through SCORE, right? And most SBAs are in your local communities. And when I look at the piece for your growth and resources piece, I highly encourage you to look at chambers, right? So here in San Antonio, I'm part of the Black Chamber here in San Antonio. And it's been a godsend just for the mentorship, just for trying to understand how to grow as an entrepreneur, but more importantly, to understand how your resources and what resources you might have as an entrepreneur. Because again, those folks have gone through it and been through it, and they know the different things that you need to be successful in the world of entrepreneurship. Is every day going to be a great day? Is every day going to be, you know, a $50,000 or a $100,000 day? No, it's not. You're going to have your ebb and flows. But I would tell you, in the world of entrepreneurship, the one thing I did say in one article that I was in, that, you know, the interesting thing about the military, you can't go from E1 to Admiral, right? It's going to take you a long time. But in the world of entrepreneurship, you can become a CEO overnight, actually, when you start your business. But you're going to have to really work at it and work hard. And I know that Major General Henry, when he spoke earlier, he talked about be uncomfortable, right? In the world of entrepreneurship, you're going to have some uncomfortable days, straight up, I'm telling you. And I start, you know, I keep my hair cut low because I swear if it grows, it's probably gray or, you know, a little gray there, because sometimes being an entrepreneur, you do get a little stressed out, right? You're trying to figure out where that next funding is going to go, if your shipment is going to get in, if it's going to get held up, or if you have to have returns, if you're doing a service item. So a lot of things that come into play, but at the end of the day, it's yours, right? It's your mini command or your big command if it ends up growing, right? And, you know, I wanted to share 2 books with you guys that have been very influential in my growth as an entrepreneur. One is by Guy Kawasaki, The Art of Start. If you guys want to read something that's just going to get that ideation going and trying to figure out where you're going to go or where you want to go as an entrepreneur. So The Art of Start. And then the other one is one by Joanne Gordon called Howard Schultz. And I read it because Howard gave us an autograph copy when I was able to host him here in San Antonio a few years ago. And, you know, when I started reading the book, it really talked about how they grew as a company. And I, you know, at that time, I wasn't in a growth phase of my company, but just reading that book, you know, just talking about the problems that they had, because on the outside, we just saw Starbucks being built on every other corner, right? For so many different years. And it was that way. Yesterday, I heard Magic Johnson has 185 Starbucks, right? But we just saw that amazing growth for Starbucks. But when I read it, it talks about how Starbucks fought for its life without losing its soul, right? So when I think about what Howard went through to build this multi-billion-dollar business, and, you know, as entrepreneurs out there are in that startup or post-startup phase and growth phase, you know, I'm really confident knowing that, you know, if you really stick to it, if you keep pushing forward, and if you really seek out those mentors, and I will tell you this, everybody's not going to accept you as a mentee or as someone they want to help. I figured that out really quickly, especially in that world of those 2 dimensions, right? Being able to talk to some billionaires, they might give you some advice. Some might take you under their wing, some might not. So just be ready for that. Have thick skin with it, right? And just, you may have to be uncomfortable a little bit sometimes, but it's amazing how if you're able to connect with people that are in another dimension, again, someone that is on the other side of a shark table, it's really cool because it gives you that unique opportunity to, one, learn from them, and they might be able to learn something from you too, especially as a Marine Corps or naval officer. And that's something that I've seen time and time again as my current company continues to grow. So as I close, one of the things I will say is that you know, that conversation that I had with Mike Cameron was life changing. I would tell you that. You know, Mike Cameron, multimillionaire, owns Devil River, helped start Rebecca Creek here in San Antonio as well. But when he told me about the one thing, you know, during my COVID time, I pivoted because again, drop shipping was kind of non-existent because everybody was shelter in place, if you will. So I pivoted, and I knew that one of my biggest selling items were socks. And when I pivoted, I started to order all these socks, high-end socks, to see what was the best. And then I was able to start working with 2 Gen Zers, right? 24, 25-year-olds that were super duper smart and had a unique passion for e-commerce. And when we started working together, we were able to spend about 8 months to develop and manufacture the product. And once we got the correct product that we wanted, we actually pressed go on the company about 4.5 months ago. And, you know, it started off pretty good, and then it just took off like a rocket, right? And, you know, so recently we were able to have conversation with Kathy Allen Worldwide and her team, a $2 billion company that want us to create a women's line for her and her company. And one of the things that we were able to do too, I was able to go back home and have a conversation with those young men that I work with on the farm, who owns those 10,000 acres now that their great granddad owned. And we're going to develop a sock from that cotton, and it's going to be you know, a Steezy sock. And our tagline is going to be from dirt to cotton to sock. And, you know, I think about my granddad, the bootlegger and the deacon, and think about what he would think of us creating that sock here next year. And one day, hopefully, that might be the sock of the NFL. But it won't be the sock of the NFL if you don't get started. You got to have your ideation. You got to have your ideal. You got to start, right? You got to have that growth piece. You got to have your resources. I would say you got to believe in yourself, right? Because sometimes as a entrepreneur, you don't have any cheerleaders out there cheerleading for you. And sometimes you just have to believe in yourself and know that you're going to keep pushing forward. So I'm going to pop in those resources, but while I do that, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask any. If not, you can connect with me, Anthony Cosby. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram. But I would love to talk to you and have a conversation if that's something that you're looking to do. Because again, for right now, I think entrepreneurship is one of those unique opportunities where you can have something that's truly mobile, especially with the technology that we have nowadays. When I think back to my first company, Cosby Career Services, my buddy Anthony Garcia just launched a company that is getting ready to be bought by LinkedIn or Microsoft called PurePost, and it creates your resume. It's just amazing how the resume is created, what they've been able to create. And I think about those days when I was sweating, just, you know, popping out those resumes for people, and now you just can do it in like 10 or 15 minutes. So pretty cool to see that. But again, I really hope that you guys have learned a little something from this today, but more so keep learning and keep understanding what you want to do and find that and it might not be the right thing. Again, this is my third time trying to do something, and this one clicked. So don't give up. Entrepreneurs don't give up. We just try something different. So thank y'all so much. I think that concludes, unless we have any questions. Well, Almar Harris, are you still there?
Right here.
All right. Well, I guess we can, I'll turn it over to you. We can go to break.
Well, let's see. I think Colonel Clue, you still running the show, or Jamal?
I am, sir. If you're ready for me to take back over, I will provide some closing comments and then turn it over to you, sir, for anything that you might have. So on behalf of the entire team from NNOA who put on this symposium, I just really want to thank all the speakers today and the attendees. I want to thank STEM City and Raytheon, and then specifically shout out to the Marine Corps who sponsored over 100 attendees to be able to participate, hear from the great speakers, and maybe put something in their toolkit that they didn't have before. Thank you to all those folks, and over to you, Admiral Harris, for any closing comments. Sir.
And thank you, Seth, and thank you, Jamar. Great day. It's a great Marine Corps day, a great Navy day, Naval day, and I think a full spectrum day from people needing the career development and then taking them through the cradle. We'll stop short of the grave for now, but at least through the cradle and the transition to what happens after you retire. Hey, shipmates, I hope a lot of you will come back here at 1800 for our SES panel. It's a great one. Again, we've got Jimmy Smith from Small Business Administration and Navy. We've got Karen Davis, who works in the OSD. We got Al Curry at the Coast Guard, and then Michelle Godfrey, Coast Guard as well. So we got a great panel. We've got on the schedule for 1625 the NNOA Chapter Award presentations. Is that still happening?
Yes, sir. I sent you that list a couple days ago.
Oh, am I the one giving it out?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you resend it to me again?
Stand by.
Some folks just have greatness thrust upon them.
Yeah.
Just give it to the DC chapter. You can avoid all the wait.
Sir, I'm happy to announce if you'd like.
Please do.
All right, everyone. Good end of Marine Corps Day. As Rear Admiral Harris mentioned, we're also going to give note to the chapter award winners. So we have 3 to give. The chapter established membership growth awards are presented to those chapters that show the greatest membership sustainment and growth by category during the year ending 31 May. So we're pleased to announce that the established chapter membership growth award for Group C, which is a chapter that has 23 members or less, is the Camp Pendleton Miramar chapter. Congratulations to them. The established chapter membership growth award Group B, which is chapters that have 24 to 49 members, is the Jacksonville chapter. Congratulations to them. And the established chapter growth award for Group A, which is 50 or more members, is the Washington, DC chapter. All right, so those are the growth awards. The next category of award is the Outstanding Chapter Program Award, which is presented to the chapter with the most outstanding chapter program. The chapter program is defined by the professional development and educational opportunities provided by the chapter. We're pleased to present this award this year to the San Diego chapter for its Enlisted Officer virtual show. Congrats to them and great work. And last but certainly not least, the Outstanding Chapter Award is presented to the chapter that has best exemplified support for the mission of the NNOA and its purposes through its programs. Demonstrable examples of programs are diversity programs, youth and tutoring programs, collaborative programs with community organizations, professional military education programs, scholarship programs, joint ventures, and mentorship, which further our objectives. We are pleased to announce that the 2021 Outstanding Chapter Award goes to the Millington Memphis chapter. So congratulations to them and their wonderful, wonderful members in chapter leadership. Rear Admiral Harris, sir, back over to you.
And well done to all of our award-winning chapters. I know the list will just continue to grow and the competition will be even stiffer next year. For those of you who will be coming back, I'll see you at 1800 for the SES panel. You don't want to miss it. Thank you all.